Where is that sweet spot?
There's, compromises, right? There's the size, condition, and location. And again, no matter what price point you're in, you're going to probably have to pick 2 out of the 3.
Every time I go to guide a new buyer on, their purchase, I talk to them like, how's your lifestyle? What is important to you? And you should ask yourself this if you're a buyer right now, what is really important to me? Is it that I get the best possible deal on a home? Yes, we can get you there. Hey, and welcome back to Black Belt in Real Estate Season 2. In this episode, we're gonna dig deep into a very interesting topic, and that is lifestyle versus the purchase price when buying a home in Los Angeles. I know it's so important to get a good deal. The price is always important, but lifestyle is also important. So how do you find that sweet spot when buying a home? And I hope you're gonna enjoy the show. I have James Suarez here with me today, the CEO of the Suarez team, which is the #1 team for Keller Williams in California. And he's also my mentor. And we're chatting about this a lot. So let's start the conversation. Like, how do you find that sweet spot? I mean, we work with a lot of clients. They wanna get a good deal, but they also have so good taste that it's expensive. Like, where is that sweet spot?
We've talked about this in one of the early episodes. No matter what price point you're in, there's, compromises, right? There's the size, condition, and location. And again, no matter what price point you're in, you're going to probably have to pick 2 out of the 3. For instance, if you want something that's bigger, you may have to compromise on either the location or the condition. So first and foremost, it's really seeing what is most important to you, and reverse engineering the process, right? If location is very important, because let's say you need to be in a good school district, right? You may have to compromise on either the condition of the property and do some work, or you may have to buy a smaller home.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting that every time I go to guide a new buyer on their purchase, I talk to them like, how's your lifestyle? What is important to you? And you should ask yourself this if you're a buyer right now, what is really important to me? Is it that I get the best possible deal on a home? Yes, we can get you there. Is it that I get the dream home that I always loved and maybe need to pay a little bit more than a couple of other buyers, because great homes that are updated usually gets competition, especially if it's a good location. So I think it's about getting clear on that. And if you're buying it together with, your significant others, that you discuss that and try to, find that sweet spot where you're both happy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk to you about a personal story in the house that I live in right now. The house prior to this one, I feel like we got a great deal on. And being in real estate, it's always good to get a great deal. But, the house that we have prior to this one was 3 levels. And we just had our 3rd child, and it's difficult having 3 levels, with 3 children, and the middle level was the main living area, and in order to get the backyard, we have to go downstairs and then out, and it's, it didn't really work for us. And we actually got the opportunity to list, a great property a few blocks away. And the other thing that I love is, our house had these beautiful city views, but it was always my dream to have ocean views, right? Yeah. So we got an opportunity to list a property, a few blocks away. We got the listing after competing against many of the other agents. And anyways, I was showing the property and talking about, the benefits, and then I'm constantly looking on the multiple listing service for houses that are, big lots and have ocean views, but I can only find them in this area, and, they're, so expensive. And this is unique because it's got one of the bigger lots, and in my opinion, one of the best views. And I talked about how it's only 2 levels, and my house is the 3 levels. And as I'm selling this to the potential buyer, I'm like, this is a perfect house for Roxanne and I. So I actually texted her during the showing and said, hey, I think you should come look at this property because I think we should buy it. long story short, we did buy it and we did not get a good deal on it. It was the highest price ever in the community and it didn't appraise, but because of, the lifestyle, because it was 2 levels and we could open up, the living room doors and it went right out into the backyard and we could be in the kitchen or the family room and watch our kids, run around and play. It was perfect for us and we were willing to pay a premium for that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, James. And I just want to share that with the audience because our job is so data-driven and we're fighting so hard to get the best possible deals for our buyers, right? And one thing that I'm thinking about when it comes to that is one important aspect. Another important aspect is lifestyle, right? And just like you said, I'm working hard, I can't afford this, and this is my dream home. And I think that sense of being in the community you always dreamed of waking up to that ocean view, in some scenarios, that's worth more than the additional payment it costs you.
Yeah, I always tell people, it's home first, investment second, right? And that's the priority when it comes to a home because the home is so important, right? It's where we come home every day. It's where we have dinners. It's where we have parties. It's, the good times, the bad times. It's where we make our cherished memories. And, it sounds cheesy, but that's priceless, right? So again, it's important to put home first, understand the lifestyle that we want to live and make the decision from there. And it turned out to be a great investment because it's real estate, right? In Los Angeles, which always goes up, right? Yeah. So it worked out at the end and, we couldn't be happier.
I'm happy to hear that. And life is good. If you're looking at properties now in Los Angeles, you've done something right in your life.
Right.
So yeah, let's have some fun with it. And also, I think the sweet spot, sometimes, I meet buyers and they're two, they're a couple, right? And one is looking for the best deal and the other one doesn't care about the deal, just care about, getting the home we want. But there is a middle ground, right? Where us as agents can actually come in and give them the guidance that this home, right now, it might not be exactly what you're looking for, but with small improvements. For example, we're looking at a home right now and we love most of it, but we don't love the floorings because we want that brighter look that is more modern now. But that's a small fix and it's worth it, right?
Right. Well, that's why I feel a buyer consultation is one of the most important steps of the purchasing process because that is an opportunity where you get to sit down with an agent and go over all of the wants and then all of the needs, the must-haves, right? So that, a couple, right, also can get on the same page because it gives the opportunity for both sides to illustrate what's most important, right? Come together and decide together on, what does work, what doesn't work so that you can pinpoint, the type of property that you're looking to purchase.
Yeah, and if you're having this discussion at home, we would encourage you to talk to a professional because they can be like the intermediary and actually go through the different scenarios and what that looks like.
Yeah, and then also be able to show both sets of properties, size, condition, location. So again, that everybody gets on the same page because once you get on the same page, it's almost like you manifest the property, like it's going to appear and then you're ready to move forward on it. Whereas if there's tension, if not everybody is on the same page, that process is not going to be enjoyable and, oftentimes it, does not end well.
Yeah. So let's talk about the challenges some sellers have right now they are in a home, they've outgrown the home, and right now where they're looking to move, it's going to cost them significant amount more than they're paying right now. They can still afford it, but it's significantly more. Like, how do you walk through your clients in that scenario?
Well, first I'd like to point out the great news, which is, most likely all the equity, that they have gained, over the past, few years of home ownership. And then again, it's to, run the numbers and decide on what's important. And, sometimes it's not, it's not in the client's best move to sell.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have to work to live, right? Yeah. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where the payments are just too high and, you're putting yourself and your family at risk. But again, it's getting clarity on what's really important, right? And then also what's within the budget, and can there be some sacrifices within the budget? I know when, my wife and I bought, this home and had to overpay, there were some sacrifices that needed to be made, but for us it was worth it because, again, home was what was, a priority for us.
Yeah, and I think also if you're asking yourself these questions, should I make the move and how, ask for some help and guidance for somebody that can actually look at the numbers, because I'm meeting clients so often in their mind, they think the payments are much more than there actually is, right? And there's so many options nowadays with, the rate buy downs, and there could be seller financing, there could be many different options to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I've said many times, and I've done many videos on experience matters now more than ever, because it's not just black and white, right? There is creative financing, there is negotiating, right? There's also, if a seller needs to sell in order to buy, they want to make sure to sell, with an agent that has a track record of success and outperforming the market versus maybe going with a friend that's, from out of the area that's willing to do it for a discounted commission. Because depending on, the agent you choose, the value can vary up to 10%. And although they may be getting a cheaper commission, they're leaving, 9% on the table, which, net, those numbers do not work out in the seller's favor.
Yeah, no, they don't. And I had this conversation with a couple of our clients this week, and we're talking about the market. And obviously 6 months ago would have been perfect timing for them to sell, but they weren't ready. So they might get, let's say, 3-4% less than that, which is probably 60,000, let's take. But they're buying a house that are double the price, and we're gonna get them an even better deal on that. So even just know that there are options, and don't be scared if you thought about selling and now you're on the fence. Look at the numbers, because if you're buying a more expensive property, most likely you're gonna make that up and maybe even double or triple that savings.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best analogies I've heard recently is through Gary Keller of, Keller Williams. And he said, if you go to Vegas and you start off with $100 in your first night, you win 500, which is great, you're up. And then the second night, you win another 500. So, now you're way up. But the third night, you lose 300, right? You're still way up, right? And not to say the market has declined by 30% by any means, but the fact of the matter, if you've been a homeowner, right, you've gained a ton of equity. And yes, you may not be able to sell at the same price you would have sold at the beginning of 2022, but yes, if you're going to purchase, right, you also get to buy at a lower value. Whereas, if you did sell in the 22 market and went to bought, most likely you were going to have to overpay for the property you were buying, whereas now you can pay market value, or maybe even possibly under market value, especially if you work with an agent like you. So, there's opportunities in every market, especially when you work with an agent that has experience and who diligently studies the market.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. So in that moment when you knew this is the home that you love, was it scary to know that was the highest sale at the moment in that area?
Of course. I mean, I've bought and sold properties, for the last, 15 years, right? And it's every time I buy, there is that level of fear and there's that cold feet, which is a natural human, emotion.
Yeah.
But what then, kicked in and what gave myself and my wife comfort is we looked at the data. We looked at where the trends were. We looked at how the area was performing, right? Plus, we had bought and sold properties before, and we knew that even if we did slightly overpay, right, the market was going to eventually catch up. This wasn't, this is a long-term investment, right? Home first, investment second, long-term investment, and we know that eventually it will end up. And we're so glad we did, because when I look at the value of what I paid for and what it's worth now, right? I'm so glad I made that move, because that Ocean View property appreciated much more than the one that I had owned prior.
Yeah. And as far as the lifestyle, I mean, the final question I would have, like, how does that feel? What's the feeling? People that are looking and watching this episode, like, how does it feel to live in your dream property?
I mean, it's priceless. I hope that everybody gets to experience it. And what I will tell the audience is that it didn't, it's not like I just bought my dream house. Like I was a busboy at, a restaurant making no money. So it was a series of events, a series of investments that led me there. But I remember when I bought in 2000, I think it was 10, when the market was, that was like the market had crashed, like actually crashed. And the media and my friends and my family were like, don't buy, don't buy, don't buy. You're crazy to buy. But I knew the market. I studied the market and I knew what I was buying. And luckily I did buy it, which then the market, a year or two later turned and, the equity started. And a few years later, I sold that property, took the equity of that property, put it in another one, right? Did a cash out refi, took other of that money, put it into an investment property, and through a series of events, right, led me to be able to, purchase my dream home. And now actually my real estate portfolio not only covers my mortgage payment, it also gives us extra, mailbox money. But it happens through a series of events. It wasn't a quantum leap, but working with an agent or a team that has that experience and that guide, that's the path that, you can put your clients on and have put your clients on, which is very exciting, for you and for them, and one that you're getting ready to experience for yourself.
Yeah, thank you, James, for sharing that. And if you're listening to this and you want to hear James' full story, go back to season 1, episode 1, where we talk about how to becoming a millionaire in real estate. This was great. Thank you so much for being here with us. And I hope you take some time to talk this through with yourself or your significant others. And what's the sweet spot when it comes to lifestyle and purchase price? And we're happy to help. So please reach out to us. And if you know anybody that is thinking about these subjects, send this show over to them so they can also start, getting their juices flowing and get closer to their dream home. Thanks for watching Black Belt in Real Estate. Thank you so much for watching Black Belt in Real Estate. We really appreciate having you here. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, we would love the opportunity to interview for your business. James, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, what I would say is just to remember that this is a business decision, not a personal decision. And something that Peter and I and our team pride ourselves on is we look at ourselves more like consultants than we do salespeople. A lot of salespeople have that commission breath and they push you to buy or sell when you're not comfortable, whereas we take a systematic approach, a personalized approach to determine what is best for you and your family. And if now is not the time to buy or sell, we're okay with that, and at least we've given you that information. So as Peter said, we truly would appreciate the opportunity to earn your business.
Thank you so much, and see you soon.